You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason.
Your co-host, Danny.
And fans, we have a special edition. We're going to talk a little bit about Game 7 between the Bucks and the Nets. We also preview the Bucks versus the Hawks. And then we'll get into a little bit more about the NBA playoffs. So, Danny, but first, let's get right into it. Let's go to the Bucks versus the Nets Game 7, which was really a grit and grime game. Oh my gosh, man. Fans, if you all have not watched this game, that was definitely a game to treasure and to also really, it has to go down in one of the best Game 7s in NBA history. I'm just going to put it out there. Kevin Durant put up 48 points, played 53 minutes, played the entire game. Same thing with James Harden, put up 22 points. Blake Griffin has 17. But our Milwaukee Bucks actually went ahead and prevailed, 115-111 in overtime in a Game 7. Giannis with 40 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists. And then you also had Chris Middleton stepping up with 23 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 steals. Brook Lopez, 19 points. And then Drew Holiday, 13 points. And I have to say, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, it didn't show up in the first 3 quarters, but they showed up in the fourth quarter when it counted, and even in the overtime. Kevin Durant, man, every time he shot the ball, man, I thought it was going in. Every time he shot, man, I thought it was going in, man. That the bucket that sent it into overtime, and we have got to be thankful to the good Lord above that his feet was the shoe size that they are and not a half inch. He was right on the line about to shoot the 3. He shot the 3, made it, and had it been a 3-pointer, that would have been our season.
Yep.
So, man, this was an awesome game, man. At that point in time in the Game 7, both teams actually know what each other is going to run. The sets, how each other plays, the strengths and the weaknesses, the counters. Both teams already know that. This was a game of will, of willpower. Danny, what are your thoughts?
Definitely, Jason. It was a game of ebbs and flows where you thought one team was going to take advantage and carry the momentum to a victory. Then all of a sudden the other team would take over the momentum, make a couple shots. And then I thought, man, the Bucks owe a big thank you to Joe Harris. Joe Harris, in that overtime, he had a wide open 3-pointer. If he knocks that down, I think it's a different result in that overtime.
Yeah. It changes the complexion of the game.
Yes.
Completely.
And he had a couple other opportunities in the fourth quarter, even in the third quarter, where he made one, but he just couldn't get it going. So that was huge because KD needed all the help he could get.
Every bit. Yeah.
Yes. And there were a couple times Harden had some key turnovers in that fourth quarter. So kudos to the Bucks for taking advantage of those opportunities and not letting that slip through their fingers, because they were trying to give that game away as well in a multitude of ways. This really showed what I thought they could do in this series when we first talked about predicting it. In that Game 7, they're a deeper team, and this is where that had to show, because the Nets were relying on KD, and Harden is, he was playing with that grade 2 hamstring strain. So all in all, a great game, a great series that went back and forth, and it showed. I felt sorry for KD, man, for what he did, but that fatigue kicked in at the end, man, when he had that game-winning opportunity in overtime,
Mm-hmm.
and he just didn't have the legs. So, and you saw not only the Nets, the Bucks were gassed too, because Giannis put up a lot of minutes, Middleton put up a lot of minutes. So it was all in all a great series. But now we move on to the Eastern Conference Finals with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, and that is going to be an amazing series, man. Here we are as the Milwaukee Bucks on the verge of going into the finals. And Danny, these Atlanta Hawks, they are resilient.
Mm-hmm.
They're young, but they're resilient. I mean, we got to think about who they've beaten in the playoffs. They have beaten the New York Knicks. Mm-hmm. And they played at Madison Square Garden and obviously performed very well.
Yes.
Then they went ahead and beat the Philadelphia 76ers. And keep in mind, this is why the Hawks are the lower seed. So they didn't have home court advantage.
Mm-hmm.
They are some road warriors. So this is going to be very intriguing. They're not afraid to go on the road and beat you. Yep. And are not ashamed to tell the crowd how much they feel in it. So listen, this is going to be, I think, a harder series than what people are giving it. And the reason why I say that is because of coaching. Mm-hmm. I think Bud is going to cost us about a game, maybe 2 games. And that's why I am predicting that the Bucks are going to win in 6. I was initially thinking about the Bucks winning in 5.
Yep.
Purely because we have home court advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I think that game 5 potentially with us possibly locking up our Eastern Conference Championship title at home, that would be a perfect scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But man, these Hawks, man, I don't know. I think we will pull it out in 6. I'm hoping 5 though, just so that way we can get that celebration going after the game, man. So this is going to be very interesting matchups, man. Obviously, we have to worry about the head of the snake, and that being Trae Young. Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting to see what Coach Bud does. Obviously, I can see the likes of Drew Holiday being put on him.
Sure.
And all. And then you have, Bogdan Bogdanović. We'll see how he is feeling, based upon his injury. Mm-hmm. But that's going to be just an interesting matchup because he torched us in the regular season. The likes of Clint Capella, I could easily see either Brook or Giannis on him. I would probably put Brook on him and Dahl. You got John Collins. I can see Giannis being put on him. This is just going to be very intriguing in terms of how the Bucks really match up with this team. And again, I have to say and have to stress, it's going to come down to coaching. It really is. Nate McMillan has been coaching his ass off, man. Mm-hmm. And I just have to say, I have to give them kudos, quite honestly. I'm really wondering how this is going to really mesh up and everything. But then you also have Lou Williams coming off the bench. And so Lemon Pepper Wing Williams coming off the bench, man. This is just going to be really interesting. And then I'm wondering what we're going to do with Bobby Portis. I think Bobby Portis plays this series because the Atlanta Hawks, they have a lot of 6'9", 6'10" people or players that I think we can match up well with using Bobby Portis. And so I see Bobby Portis playing a little bit more this series and all. But then as the series grows closer to that game 4, that game 5. I think the lineups are going to be shortened.
Yep.
And I think what Bud needs to learn from game 7 with the Nets, I think he needs to go into his bench a little bit more. When you think about the Nets and the Bucks versus the Nets in game 7, Bud only went 3 deep.
Mm-hmm.
And really, when you think about it, he only went 1 deep. Because off of the bench in game 7 against the Nets, you had Thanasis who played 1 minute. Yep. And then you had Connaughton who played 23 minutes. But then you have Brent Forrest who only played 5 minutes. So we really won that game with only 6 players, man.
And may I add to that, Jason? Pat Connaughton was a key in that game 7. He had a lot of big threes. If you hit definitely. Those threes,
yep,
it would have been a different story. So I forgot to mention him in the game 7 recap, but Pat Connaughton saved them in a lot of scenarios where he hit a lot of big threes.
Big time. I think with the Bucks, I think we're going to miss DiVincenzo in this Atlanta Hawks series. I really believe that. So we'll see. Danny, your thoughts on the preview here?
I'm leaning towards Bucks in 5. I'm basing that right now on the Bogdanovich injury. So if he's limited, they already have DeAndre Hunter who's out, who was they didn't have him in the Sixers series, but he was a huge contributor in that Knicks series. So you lose him on the defensive end. You lose Bogdanovich on the offensive end. You have Gallinari
coming off the bench.
And you have Huter, who played lights out in that game 7 against the Sixers.
Man.
But having that other offensive weapon, a big offensive weapon in Bogdanovich, who can hit the 3 and spread the floor as well, I think that's going to be key. And I think, too, Atlanta had some issues, man, with free throw shooting. I know we talk about free throw shooting a lot on this show, but that's key for the Bucks. But Atlanta, it cost them a game or 2 in that Sixers series. So that's going to be also something as you look at the fourth quarter and these games where Atlanta almost cost themselves a couple games. They're lucky to get out of that Sixers series the way they're shooting free throws. The momentum. So Atlanta's coming in hot. You mentioned this. They're coming in like playing with house money, man. We have nothing to lose. But I think the Bucks have too much talent to lose this series. And after going through what they went through with the Brooklyn Nets and someone like Kevin Durant, there's, in my opinion, there's no way they should lose this series. Not to say they can't, because they could have a letdown. After pouring all that emotion, all that energy into that Brooklyn series, it could be an emotional letdown, but I just don't see it, man. I think they get this in 5. Obviously, we'll track this as we're going along, and any pivots will be made as necessary, depending on how the series is trending. But right now, I'm looking at Bucks can get them in 5.
And now, Danny, to the Western Conference. Listen, man, these Phoenix Suns against the LA Clippers. Phoenix Suns winning game 1. Devin Booker, man, some are calling him the next Kobe, baby Mamba. I'm just going to say that he has the Mamba mentality. And so, man, he is impressive. And game 2 is tonight in Phoenix, and we'll see what happens, man. But quite honestly, I'm just going to say it, man. Phoenix Suns going to win this series. Without Kawhi Leonard for the Clippers, I don't see a way that the Phoenix Suns will win. And I would even say this, man, CP3 could almost really stay out of the entire series if Kawhi Leonard is not playing, and the Phoenix Suns would still win. I'm sorry, I don't see what the Los Angeles Clippers are going to do here to really pull this series out. And, I'm just impressed with, quite honestly, Devin Booker, man. I mean, he scores at any given point on the court. And unless they trap him, double team him to get the ball out of his hands, to force other people to score, that's the only way I could see the Clippers coming even close to winning the game, quite honestly. So this is going to be really interesting, man. I think that's why you need a CP3 back out there, because I can see him a double team or a trap happening. And I don't know. We'll see. But I'm saying Phoenix Suns possibly in 5. Gentlemen sweep if Kawhi doesn't come back.
Got it. And I think too, man, not having Kawhi is huge for the Clippers, but they're one of these teams, man, like they have 9 lives, man. You can't kill them. You think you got them dead, and they just, well, look at Utah. Utah had them dead to rights, down 25, and they came back without Kawhi. So I think this at least goes 6. Just the way they're not letting go. They're not just quitting. Like even in game 1, they were down. They came all the way back. They actually had a decent lead. Like I think it was like 6 points. And then at the end fell apart. And then they came all the way back at the end and made it close. So I think it can go 6. PG or playoff P has actually been playing really well these last few games. So I think they can at least push it 6, but Devin Booker's in the zone, man, right now. And they better figure out something to slow him down in order to get to game 6, because he's like his shot. He always had a great shot, but right now he's just doing everything right and finding people in good spots. He had a triple-double the other day. So he's playing out of this world right now. So I still think Phoenix wins the series, but I think the Clippers can get at least 2 games from Phoenix.
And maybe that's Clippers coach Tyronn Lue's specialty. Let's get down. Let me go ahead and make some adjustments in the second half of this series, and then let them make adjustments or try to make adjustments of what I've done. Yep. Maybe that's his specialty. I mean, when you think about Tyronn Lue, I mean, and his teams that have, advanced on, they typically have been down.
Yep. You're right.
To start the series. And then next thing you know, he makes some interesting adjustments, and it goes on from there. So who knows? We'll see. But I would say this, just as we're talking about Tyronn Lue and his coaching ability, we got to also look at the other side of the bench, there, man, with the Phoenix Suns coach.
Yep.
I mean, he's just been absolutely impressive, and that is none other than Monty Williams. And so I think this is going to be a coaching duo. And I think, honestly, the Phoenix Suns are going to really outlast them again because of Kawhi. I'm saying Suns in 5. You're saying Suns in 6. We'll see what happens. Fans, what do you think? Hit us up. Thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at @back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.